Hi everybody, Materim here again with Brawler Bash Game 5, and this is the game I didn't want to play. Ogre Kingdoms versus Dwarves. I say that because not only do I play Dwarves an awful lot, but I find, like everybody does, gun lines to be incredibly boring, and that's pretty much what I'm facing. A tried and true Dwarf gun line, and I'm really not looking forward to this one. So let's go ahead and get her over with. So I don't have my opponent's list, so I'll do as good as I can from memory. We've got a gyrocopter with Vanguard. We've got a unit of Quarrelers. We've got a runed up organ gun. There's a unit of Hammerers with Vanguard and Stubborn, I think. A cannon. There's another unit here of a iron. No, Longbeards with great weapons. They also have Vanguard. Then there's a 10-man of Iron Drakes, another runed up cannon, and another runed up organ gun. Notice that I make mention that he has Vanguard on his entire army, which could make this cool and come get it, but, well, let's just say it doesn't turn out that way, and I was pretty disappointed at that. So on my side, I start off with man-eaters hiding in the woods. Then I got a saber tusk, my 3 ogres, and my lead belchers. My special scenario here is to claim table quarters, so I'm going to hide those ogres, just try and claim this bottom corner. And the general scenario here is all about killing characters, so I've got to get in there into those combat groups and kill characters before I get shot to death to run the risk of collecting any points here. Because of my scenario card, got to Vanguard up my Iron Gut, or my Iron Gut unit with my General and BSB in it. Then there's my Ogres with my 2 casters, the Yetis, and my Saber Tusk up on the hill. I do try to scout up my man-eaters. Yeah, there they are. Scout them up way up in the corner. But the dwarves get turn 1, and he starts off turn 1 by flying his gyrocopter over my man-eaters and bombing them. I think he might do a wound or 2, but that was pretty immaterial. And you can see here, not only did my opponent not vanguard up anything like his army was designed to do, but didn't even really move turn 1. So yeah, I realize I'm going to get shot to pieces here. Because I'm not even in a point where I can possibly charge next turn, so I'm going to take at least 2 turns of getting shot in the face before I even have a chance to get into much of anything. Over here in shooting, I believe, annihilates the whole unit with that first organ gun. I was asking him to lay things down, and for some reason he was only laying down 1 model, but whatever. Yeah, the organ gun opens up here and vaporizes these man-eaters. He did something like 18 shots to me. It was pretty ridiculous. Then over here, cannon goes off into my main group of Iron Guts and kills 2 of them and puts wounds on a 3rd. And by random luck, everything else survives, so we go into my turn 1. And I just advance as much as I can. I need to get up into something, but I just don't have the movement to get safe from his guns. My only hope at this point is to start shooting stuff. I know he does have an engineer in that small unit of Quarrelers, so I'm bringing up the lead belchers to try and destroy that. And maybe I'll get the bonus points for killing the engineer. I move up the man-eaters are going to go after that gyrocopter. Hopefully their poison shots will help. And then the ogres, I just kind of slide to the side, the little 3-man, to hide them behind the building, hopefully to be able to stay alive and claim that table quarter. So during the magic phase, I get a fireball off on the Quarrelers and end up killing half the unit, but they are dwarves, so they're not going to panic in any way, shape, or form. So with nothing else really accomplished, we go to dwarf turn 2. He flies his gyrocopter. I do a couple of wounds to it. I think it only has 1 wound left with my shooting phase, and I didn't make note of that. But he ends up flying it here out of the front arc of my man-eaters, so either I'm going to have to give up on it or swift reform next turn to come shoot him. Then during dwarf movement phase, his main units back up like an inch and a half. Riveting. Another side note, and I don't want to sound like I'm whining here, uh, only about one rank in each of these main units even has arms and heads attached to it. And I know I heard that this player damaged his army before he came, but it was really just distracting. I would much have rather had faced anybody with a full army rather than just this dwarf cheese fest that looked incomplete. It really kind of put me out of the enjoyment of some of the game here. So during shooting phase, I think it's the Iron Drakes that kill 2 2/3 of my Yeti unit here. Flaming attacks against flammable creatures kind of sucks. Then we got some more shooting here. One more Iron Gut dies, and I've taken wounds on the Noblar Assassin that I get for the scenario, as well as my General, who's taken 2 wounds, I believe. And now that I don't have enough dudes for a lookout, sir, cannonballs go through, pick off my Iron Gut champion and my General. Awesome. So we go into Ogre turn 2, and I realize my only chance here is to get everything I can into combat. I need, I want to say it was 8s or 10s, something like that, to get both Ogre units into combat with those hammerers, and I fail with my Ogre unit, so I'm only tossing the little Iron Gut unit that used to have my champion in it up against hammerers, which makes me cry. The other Ogres stumble forward a couple inches. Over here, I do decide to swift reform and go after the gyrocopter because the way that my opponent is rolling ungodly out of the box for his war machines, I got to get what points I can before he wipes me off the damn board. And my magic accomplishes nothing, and I do shoot and destroy the gyrocopter at this point. And then I fire with my lead belchers. Something at that little 5-man unit, or it's not even 5-man unit at this point because I think I got another fireball off on him. But it's like 3-man and the engineer. I get something like 27 shots. Only a hit with 5 of them, needing 5s, and wound with nothing. So the lead belchers can suck it. Over here, my Noblar Assassin does get lucky and murders, killing blows a Dwarf Rune Lord, which is pretty awesome. I get some extra points for that. But the unit is slowly dying. I'm taking wounds. I'm pretty sure I still hold at this point. But it's not looking good in the long run. So then we go into Dwarf turn 3, I think this is, and he moves back I think moves them back like an inch, but 6 of one, half a dozen the other at this point. I apparently can't hit the broadside of the barn with 6 loaded cannons, so I don't think they have much to worry about from me at this point. And then some portion of the dwarf shooting, I think it's the organ gun, ends up killing one lead belcher and putting 2 wounds on another one. Then here I got lucky and the cannon pegs me, but only does 2 wounds, I believe. It might kill a dude and do 2 wounds, but either case, key point to take away, I'm getting shot slowly or quickly. I'm just dying. So after combat, I did kill 5 hammers, but as you can see, that unit is annihilated with the exception of the Noblar Assassin, who I think has 1 wound left on him. Simply put, I was shot apart so bad I didn't have the bodies enough to get the job done when I got there, so that's depressing. I'd also moved up the Yeti and the Saber-Tusk during my last turn to kind of block those guys. So, going to my next turn, Yeti charges, hits the flank of the Hammerers. That's pretty much, they're going to die. I just did that to get him out of the way so my Ogres could get in. Ogres charge in. between his characters and everything, I really don't think I have enough bodies to get the job done here either. But frankly, it's better to die hopelessly in combat than get shot apart. So these ogres move up behind the building just to stay hidden. And the lead belchers apparently feel my wrath from their last failure as I move them up this turn, and during shooting, they blow the hell out of those three remaining uh, quarrelers and manage to kill the engineer as well. So that's a few more bonus points, but I'm not getting nearly enough of what I need. I'm not going to be able to crack really any of these combat bricks, I don't think. Um, then, oh yeah, I do shooting with the lead or the man eaters who are on the other side of the building and hit the organ gun and do a wound to it. And then during combat, as predicted, the Noblars 3 and the Yeti get absolutely brutalized by these hammerers with no arms. And over here, my ogres try their absolute damnedest to bring it out. As you can see with that unit filler and that big old line of dwarves, I killed an awful lot of dudes here. Unfortunately, I took some wounds back. An ogre died, as did my Firebelly, and I think I might have won this one by one. If I did, it wasn't by very much, and he's stubborn and doesn't go anywhere. So we go into dwarf turn 4, I believe this is, and the hammerers come charging into the lead belchers, and that's pretty much a foregone conclusion. I might do a few wounds there, but that unit is not designed to handle a big dwarf, well, a big significant combat unit, and that's what those hammerers still are, frankly. Um, During his shooting phase, he gets the organ gun opens up on the man eaters, does enough wounds to force a panic, and they flee. During the first combat, I don't even think I kill a single dwarf. I rolled terribly. He kills all but two of the lead belchers. They break, and he chooses not to run them down so he can come around the side of this building and finish off the three ogres that are hiding. He also shot to death the saber-tusk that was hiding over there last turn. Uh, but yeah, he kills all but I've got three ogres and my man-eater or my slaughtermaster left. I kill a few dwarves in return, but he ends up doing enough to break me, but does not succeed in running me down at this point. So my turn 4 is very quick. I rally everything and then can't accomplish anything else because everyone rallied. And then, just to prove that the universe hates me, I attempted to cast the +1 toughness buff to help me deal with some of his shooting. I miscast it, Dimensional Cascade, kill one of my ogres, and suck my Slaughtermaster into the warp. Fan fucking tastic. So then dwarf turn 5. The ogres had panicked after that explosion, by the way. So dwarf turn 5, the longbeards try to charge the ogres. I have to flee and I escape. Over here, the hammerers move around so that they've got a decent line of sight on the ogres. Then during shooting, something shoots at these ogres and puts a couple of wounds on them. Then the organ gun doesn't do very well at all and pops off a few shots at these, or maybe this was the cannon. Yeah, because his organ guns have been lighting stuff up. I think this was the cannon. But either case, I have one lead belcher remaining with a single wound on him. So we go into my turn 5. Man-eaters go to hide in the woods. The lead belcher fails to rally and keeps running. And purely for cinematic cool death scene, I run the three ogres into the building, knowing that they're going to die and there's nothing I can do to stop it. They might as well be able to chill and have a beer in that building while they're waiting for death. And speaking of waiting for death, these two ogres manage to rally and stare the bearded death in the face that's coming to them. Even though I don't I mean, there's just no reason. Uh, yeah. So dwarf turn 6 happens. The Longbeards charge, and I choose to flee and end up where you see me there. Hammers succeed in charging into the building against these ogres. And then gunfire goes off like crazy, and these ogres die. Everyone is sad. And final picture of the game, the hammerers kill the ogres in the building and take the building. Needless to say, I lost this horribly. And moreover, this was the most boring game of Warhammer I have ever played. Um, and it's really a shame, too, when my opponent was telling me about his list and he was saying how much Vanguard he had. I thought it was going to be cool. I thought maybe he was going to come up and actually meet me halfway rather than just blowing me off the table to the point I really couldn't do anything. But when he laid those 4 war machines on the table, I was like, this is going to go bad. Um, and it's really a shame, too. I think the dwarves have some great fluff, but I think this gunline build for them is just so unimaginative. It takes no real tactics to play it at all. It's just, oh, I point at the units, I blow them up. I point at another unit, I blow that up. And it's just, it does not lead to a very pleasant experience. And while I had a good time at the tournament, I was really bummed that this was my last game. So this was sort of the sour taste I left the experience with, which was unhappy. And it's a shame too, like I know people are going to be commenting, oh, well, dwarves are just lame and boring and blah blah blah. And I don't think that's fair. There were actually some very exciting dwarf lists at this army, or at this tournament. There was one that was like a dwarf air force, had just gyrocopters all over the place. There was one that even had like a vanguard list with 57 slayers in it. I mean, I would have killed to play either of those lists rather than this one because it was boring. And frankly, I think that's the only real sin of a Warhammer game. Win, lose, draw, whatever, unimportant, but when you're just boring your opponent to tears, that's not cool. Um, but yeah, so kind of a downer note to go out on the tournament on. But it was a fun experience, and I'm going to do a video with Michael, kind of discussing the our overall results, and kind of what we thought. So hopefully you guys will tune into that. If you have any comments or questions below, please leave them. I'll get to them at any time. One thing I don't care to hear: don't try and argue that this was a good list for the dwarves. It's a boring gun line. I know there are some dwarf lovers out there, but I don't want to hear it. um, but I hope you guys, if not enjoyed it, at least got a little bit of Schadenfreude from my my suffering here. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.